And now we're on Daf Chaf Gimel and Beis. Umidyanim Kivriach Armon. So this is the end of a pasuk in Mishlei, the beginning of which was quoted on Daf Chaf Gimel and Aleph. And the word Midyanim is Milosha Meriva, that separates two people, Kibriach Shenolam Boshari Armon. Right, just like a lock on a door, on a very heavy door into the castle. Ach nifsha mikiryas o, says Rava, zelot. He's called an ach because he's like a brother to Avram, he's a nephew to Avram. Sheperesh me Avram. He separated himself from Avram and he settled in stone. And what's going to happen to him as a result down the line? Umidyanim kibriach harmon, shehitel midyanim kivrichin varmon. He caused Midyanim. Midyanim, we said, was merivos, were altercations between the Zerah of Lot and the Zerah of Avram. This is going to be an ongoing situation. And therefore, the Torah says, Lo yova amoni moavi b'kal Hashem. We're not going to allow a descendant of Lot, either through Ammon or Moab, to enter into Kal Hashem. Dorash Rav Vitema Rav Yitzchak. My dechsiv pasuk mishlei lesava yevakesh nifrad uvekach toshia yizgalo. We dash it as follows: lesava yevakesh nifrad zel Lot. That Lot separated himself nifrad from Avram in order to fulfill his hedonistic desires, and that's called letava yevakesh. Uvechol toshia yizgalo shenizgala klono. In other words, at the end of the day, as a result of this tava, his zera will be also to bubble kol. Meaning, whether or not you're talking about Torah Shebechsav, which we read in the Beis HaKnesses, and there we recite Lo Yova Amoni Moavi B'Kal Hashem, or Torah Shebal Peh, which is taught in the Beis Medrash, Disnan, Amoni Moavi Asurim V'Isurim Isra Olam. That even if an Ammoni or a Moavi were to convert to Judaism, nevertheless, he would still not be allowed to marry into the Kal Yisrael, to marry a Jewish girl. And that Isra applies L'bneiim L'bnei Bneiim Ad Sof Kol Adoros. Omar Ula Tamar, who had a relationship with her own father-in-law, Yehuda, Zinsa, and we have Zimri, Zina, he was the Nasi of Shevet Shimon. He had a relationship with Kozbi Basur Nasi Midyan. But they were different in their kavanas. Tamar Zinsel Shem Shamayim, Kidei Lahamid, Zera Minat Tzadikim, is Yatsu Mimena Malachim. David, Shlomo, and their children were kings. Uneviim Amots and Yishayo ben Amots. They were descendants of Tamar. But Zimri, Zina, for the sake of Znus, Naflu Olav Kama Rivos Yisrael. In the aftermath of his action with Kozbi Bas Tzur, many thousands of Jews died in a Magefa. Rav Nachman Yitzchak Gedola, Veru Lishma, Mitzvah Shelo Lishma. Very difficult passage. Something called an Avera L'Shem Shamayim. This is going to be Yael, right? So the implication here is that Mitzvah Shelo Lishma is not on a great level. In other words, we're comparing an Avera, although it was Lishma, to a Mitzvah Shelo Lishma. V'Omer Rav Yehuda Merav Le'olam Yasa Kodem B'Torah Mitzvah Fil Shelo Lishma Shemitoch Shelo Lishma Ba Lishma. So we see that to be Mekayim of Mitzvah, even Shelo Lishma, is a good thing. And here you're comparing an Avera to a Mitzvah Shelo Lishma. What we mean to say is that an Avera Lishma is on a high level, and it's equal to a Mitzvah Shelo Lishma. They're both on the same mila, the same madrega. So since mitoch shelo lishma ba lishma, so a mitzvah shelo lishma is chashuva, because it will ultimately bring to a mitzvah lishma. Now he quotes the Maharal Miprag here in the footnote that in both cases there's a mila, a plus, and a chisaron and a minus. In the case of Avera Lishma, the mila is that it's lishma, but it's not going to bring a person to do mitzvahs because in and of itself the action is an Avera. In the case of mitzvah shelo lishma, the mila is that as a result of the mitzvah shelo lishma, will come to do it lishma, but the action itself is shelo lishma as opposed to avera lishma. From where do we derive this conclusion that there's such a thing called an avera lishma? And the pasuk in Shoftim Perkei says, "Tevorach minoshim yoel, eshes chever." Hakeni, minoshim bi oil Tevora. So just a little bit background. When Devora was a shofetes bi Yisrael, Dvara Neviah, Klal Yisrael were meshubah to some melech, some king of Canaan by the name of Yavin. So Devora gathered together the people with Barak ben Avinoam to a milchama, to break out into a battle against the Sar Tzava of Yavin, in order to defeat Yavin. Who is the Sar Tzava of Yavin? It was Sisro. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu was Machnia Machnes Sisro Lifnei Barak, but Nimlat Sisro Levado, Ubarach Li Ol Shal Yael Eishes Chara Kin. Ola Al Mishkavo Limnucha. So he went to rest, he was very tired. And while he was asleep, she killed him. She knocked a peg into his head, and he died. And Oz Gavra Yad Yisrael al Yavin Melech Canaan Asher Risu Oso. And after that great Yeshua, then Dvorah and Barak sang the famous Shiras Dvorah. At the end of this entire episode, and after the song was sung, the Torah says, "V'shvacho shel Yael minoshim bi'oel tevurach." And there's some sort of equation here between Yael and noshim bi'oel. Who are these noshim bi'oel? Ma noshim bi'oel. So Rivka Rachel v'Leah. In each one of these four emos, it says oel. V'sar, it says hine hi ba'oel. In Rivka, it says vayavia Yitzchak ohela Sarah ima. In Rachel Leah, it says vayetze me oel Leah vayava bi'oel Rachel. So the four emos are all bi'oel. And the bracha that's being bestowed upon Yael, who did this Aver Shel Lishma, is equating to the bracha limos. Now, what was the bracha limos as if it was Shalol Lishma? So there are two interpretations here. One is that the emos gave over their husbands, or I should say their husband, it's only one husband, I'm sorry, each one respectively their husband, to a shvacha. And the reason for that is because miskanos zu bezu. So that was like Shalol Lishma. The Maharsha doesn't like that. So he brings another interpretation that Masha Nivlu Imos Atzmul Baleim, they wanted to be Mamid Zera, but nevertheless, an Isha is not Mitsuva in the mitzvah period of a rivya. So that's kind of like an Aver Shalol Lishma. Rabbi Yochanan, Sheva B'ilos Balos, so Rosh B'Yos Shah. 7 times this Sisra had a relationship with Yael. And we derive it from the 7 times that it says in the Pasuk, Kriya, Nefil, and Shchiva, Shenemar, Bein Raglea Kara, that's number 1. Nafal, that's number 2. Shochav, that's number 3. Korah, number 4. Nafal is number 5. Bashar Korah, number 6. And Sham Nafal Shadud, number 7 in the Nefilah. And she was nisratza to have a relationship with him because of l'shem shamayim, lahatish kocho v'sucha laharga. Affecting Gemara v'achav mishanya maybe ila delay. How can you tell me that she gets such a reward compared to the Mimos when she had enough from the Be'ilos? Rabbi Yochanan called Tovasin Shavasham Ein El Roy Tzal Tzadikim. In other words, he was machnes bazuama, and that's not considered hanosh. She doesn't have hanosh from that. It was repulsive. Shenemar, when HaKadosh Baruch Hu warns Lavan in a dream that he shouldn't be rodef achar Yaakov, it says Yishama Lecha and Tidaber Yaakov mitov ad ra. So Gemara says Bishleima Ra. I understand Shapir that HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't want him to speak evil against Yaakov and curse Yaakov. Ella, but when it says Tov, am I low? What's wrong with Tov? The Tovaso shall Russia Ra he that even when a Russia seems to be blessing you or giving you something beneficial for you, it's always going to be Ra. So we see that a Hana that comes from Rishayim is not considered a Hana for Tzadikim, and therefore when Yael had a relationship 7 times over with Sisro, it's considered Ra to Yael, and therefore HaKadosh Baruch Hu is Mishabeach her, because she had kavanah l'shem shamayim to save Klal Yisrael. Gufa. Rabbi Yehuda Maravli. Olam yasok adam b'torah mitzvah fil shalol l'shma shemitoch shalol l'shma bo l'shma. How do we prove that a person should get involved in a mitzvah even if he's not totally l'shem shamayim? And the answer is shevischar boim ushnayim karbana shikr balak harasha. Russia actually sacrificed a total of 42 karbanos for the Almighty. But why? Right, he didn't do it l'shem mitzvah. He didn't say hineni muchar mezuma, and he wanted to be makal Klal Yisrael, to curse Klal Yisrael, and he hired Bilam. And nevertheless, Yatza Zacha v'Yatzim and Rus, who's the grandmother of David, who sang so many shiros with Tishbach's Kadosh Baruch Hu in Sefer Tehillim, she was the descendant of Balak. The Omar Rab Yossi, Rab Chanina, Rus Bas Benoshel El Eglon Melech Moav. Hi. Rus was a great granddaughter of Eglon, the king of Moab, and Eglon was from the Tzetzoim of Balak. Omar Rab Chia Bar Abba, Omar Rab Yochanan, Minayin Shein HaKadosh Baruch Hu Mekapeach Afil Schar Sicha Noah. Even something which is a dibur naki, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu will reward. And here's the difference between the first daughter of Lot and the second. Te'ilu Bechira, the older daughter of Lot, who became pregnant from a relationship with her father, the Kiryasa, and she called her child a language of preachers, Mo'av. Mo'av means may of, right? That I had this child from my father. So she wasn't sneistic and concealing about her znus. She was openly brazen about her znus, publicly announcing, proclaiming her znus. It's therefore Amalei Rachmana, the Torah says, Al Totzer Es Moav Al Tizkarabam Milcham. So Kadosh Baruch Hu says to Moshe that you shouldn't start in a milchama against Moab. And the Gemara is medayik. Milchama hu dulo aval tziurei tzarina. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not going to be mad to you to go out to battle against Moab, but you're allowed to afflict punishment or suffering on Moab. Vilu hatzeira. What about the second daughter of Lot? The Karise ben Ami. She used the more lashon nikia, and she called him Ammon. Ammon is miloshin ben Ami. She did not publicize the fact that she had a relationship with her father. Amalei, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says to Moshe, Al titzureim ve'al tizkarim ba'ham. With regard to Ammon, Moshe was commanded, don't even, Milcham is not mentioned here, But I feel tzirei lo tzarinale, don't cause any pain or affliction against Ammon. Omar Rav Chia bar Ovin, Omar Rav Yeshua ben Karcheli, Olam Yachdim Odom Lidvar Mitzvah. She, the Bechira, took the initiative for Dvar Mitzvah. Again, even though there's one strike against her that she was not Machaseh B'tznius, the fact that she had a relationship with her father and she called the child Mo of, me of. But nevertheless, she took the initiative first. She was Mizdares L'kaimi Miyad, is therefore B'schar Laila Acha Shektamdiya. There's only one difference of one night between the first older and the second, the younger, is nevertheless habachira, right? Hikdima habachira l'tzira is nevertheless zochsa v'kadma arba doros b'Yisrael malchus. The offspring through the generations of the older daughter, which is Moab, right? The mother of Moab, she will get 4 generations earlier than Ammon. What do I mean? Rus was a descendant of Moab, of the older daughter who was makdim by one night. And from Rus we have Oved. From Oved we have Yishai. And from Yishai we have David HaMelech and then Shlomo HaMelech. So we have 4 generations of Tzetzaim of Malchus. And these are 4 generations before the Tzetzaim of Ammon. Mitzatzai Tzeira, from the younger sister who only had a relationship on the second night, we wait for Rechavam ben Shlomo, who is born to Nama HaMonis, and that's already the descendants of Ammon, and this is already 4 generations after Oved. So here we are on the top of Daf Chav Daled Amud Aleph, and we're up to the Mishnah, and Mitzvah Shem, Lineda tomorrow at 9:45, we're going to learn the Mishnah here on Daf Chav Daled. Let me wish you a great day.